Week 3 of SPL just concluded, and this time around we have quite a few interesting matchups. We have the biggest headline of the entire tournament, which is Troller against Nails, Power Ranked 1 against Power Ranked 2. We have a lot of close series and just a lot of interesting games all in all. You've seen the title, we will also get into that. So yeah, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy. Alright, we will start with me against Serpi. And well, last week my opponent, after winning against me with copious luck, posted that it was the worst set she had ever played in her win post. And this time around it was my turn to have the worst set I've ever played. And I can't really justify this. I just... well, you'll see how I played when you see the actual game. But I think the only reason I have for my performance is that I did not sleep well at all the night before the game, and I did not sleep much at all the night before the game. So I think my brain was just not ready for actual high level play. And well, let's just get on with it. I have not had the strength to actually rewatch any of these replays. Or my replays, to be clear. I've watched the others. But my own, I've just been very depressed over how poorly I've played. So you get to see me going over them for the first time, and you get to see me digging into shit plays in a way that I wouldn't do against other people, because, well, I don't want to be too harsh with other people, but I can be as harsh as I want with myself. So let's see. Gengar plus Executor. This is not super common. Usually Gengar comes with Chansey, but I had... oh, sorry. I forgot to mention. Game 1, I got insanely lucky and won. Game 2, I played like shit and lost. And Game 3, here goes. Yeah, I had this Gengar Executor prep. I think it was pretty good into Serpi's usual stuff. So, into like a Zam, you can go Executor turn 1 easy. And I do. I got T-Waved, and I got Sleep. So this is great. Now let's see what happens. I boom it immediately, because I know that I have Gengar here, and his Sleeper is probably slower than Gengar. In fact, certainly slower than Gengar. This explosion is risky, because if there's a Starmie coming in, I can just lose Executor for nothing. Well, for 80% on Starmie, which is not nothing. But it's not a full kill guaranteed, but I do have a team that puts up a lot of offensive pressure, so hopefully, you know, 20% Starmie is not as good as dead Starmie, but it's pretty close. So that was my idea there. If I land it, I just get a very good initiative with my own Gengar, and if I don't land it, then, you know, sucks to be me. But still playable. That was prep, and as long as I'm in prep, I'm fine, because I don't need to think. I just prepared this and I do this and it's fine. That was prep and it worked. Now I'm on my own and I have to play this Gengar. And well, this is the easy part. I click Hypnosis and I see Tauros switch in. And now a reasonable person sees Tauros and says, whoa, this is unusual. Why the fuck did my opponent go Tauros on Hypnosis? This is highly uncommon. What possible reason could he have to do this? And if you ask yourself that question, and your brain is functional, and you just think for a second, you come up with the answer: this thing is walled by Gengar. It probably doesn't have EQ. Probably cannot play a useful game against Gengar, and that's why he's sacking it. That's the only reasonable conclusion you can have, because if this Tauros has Earthquake, nobody switches this into Gengar at all. Like you just don't do it. You're crazy if you do this. However, I get worried. And I think, wow, my opponent has gone insane. I suppose I should scout Earthquake, which I definitely shouldn't. He's not insane. He just doesn't have it. and so I give him Blizzard, crit, and freeze on Snorlax, and I get bailed, and I stay in too, because I don't realize this. And now after seeing this, like 2 turns after this turn 5 Blizzard, which definitely 100% confirmed no Earthquake. Like when I see this Blizzard, I know it's no EQ. Because if you have EQ, you click it there. When I see Blizzard, I'm like, okay, this has no Earthquake, or at least I should be. And as I explained, on turn 4 already, I should have been able to conclude that. But no, it takes me until turn 7 to realize that's no Earthquake. And not even then do I switch into Gengar. I should have. I don't think even on turn 7 I realized it's no Earthquake. Like that's how just not there my brain was. Like I was just not connecting very obvious things. I don't know. Like if you see my thought process in my first 2 weeks, and then you see this, evidently not the same player. Like something is off here, and I don't know how to explain it. And you just have to watch it and cry with me. So I go to my closer, I clamp a bunch, and I see Jolteon, and I'm like, okay, Jolteon actually really good into my team here, because I'm bringing this boom spam with Gengar, Executor, Cloyster, and well, against Electrics the plan is to explode them, but my safest explosion into Jolteon, which is Executor, I've already used up. So yeah, it's tough now. But it's still easily playable, because as I said, I have this fantastic Gengar into Tauros. I just need to realize what the fuck is going on. Now I send Gengar, and now I see Jolteon. And here, if I get Hypnosis on Jolteon, I'm very happy, so I can go for it, because Jolteon easily the biggest threat to my team here. Like, I have to go for it. And he goes Cloyster. And now I'm still in time to get something out of this game, because his Tauros is chipped and is walled by Gengar. So his only real win condition here seems to be Jolteon and perhaps Snorlax if it has Earthquake. So here I'm in decent position to win if I just play well. Despite all my garbage leading up to this, I'm still fine if I play well. I can make progress with my Lax easily. I can make progress with, Thunder Wave from a chance is very, very powerful. Nothing on his team really wants to take it. So let's see what I do. I don't Thunder Wave. Why? I cannot explain this. I mean, okay, no, I can actually. There's a Sing open. Okay. for once I do one good thing. Yeah, this is Sing open, but I Sleep Sack my Cloyster, and I don't think that was right. Obviously, I Sleep Sack it because I'm scared of Jolteon, but now this Chansey with Ice Beam is actually a threat. And the whole idea behind bringing this Boom Spam is that if I find Sing Ice Beam, I can just like Sleep Sack Gengar or something, and go Cloyster and wall this sit on Chansey forever. And now I can't do that. Now I have to actually respect the Ice Beam, which is super fucking annoying. And obviously, if I stay in with Cloyster, trying to wake, at any moment he can go Jolteon and pressure me a whole lot, because I have no good Jolteon switch. I mean, I have Chansey, but it's not great. So, it's not good. And now I play an Ice War, because I don't know why. Like, T-Wave is clearly better here. Like, easily better. They should just T-Wave and go Lax and try to win with Lax. But no, I play this Ice War. I think it's because, I don't know, I think I'm scared of... I think by this point I feel, too pressured by Jolteon, and I think I need a Freeze War. Like, that was my thinking at the moment, but clearly that's garbage thinking. That's not worth anything at all. And now, clearly I should T-Wave. Don't get bodied by EQ. EQ makes sense, even because... Well, first of all, if you drop EQ on your Tauros, you probably have to run EQ on your Snorlax, otherwise you auto-lose to Gengar. So I should guess that this has EQ. And the Q also makes sense for this lags, because my Chansey, you know, it's very unlikely given the rest of my team, but it could technically still be ice counter. So EQ makes a ton of sense. For Serpi, I should just T-Wave. Okay, I do just T-Wave. Okay, fine. I'm actually not playing like dog shit in that turn. Now, do I scout counter here? I should probably scout counter. Never mind. Look at the moves. Sing, Ice Beam, Thunder Wave. That's 3 moves that are not counter. The 4th is soft boiled. I did this exact same thing that I did in game here. In game I hovered Chansey. I saw 3 revealed moves, and my brain just blanked and went, uh-oh, I guess this could be counter 4th, but obviously not. Obviously that's just soft boiled. And that's just a fucking hallucination that I had mid game. And I've replicated it for you in commentary for your viewing pleasure. I should definitely just body slam. Like, Earthquake does nothing. But no, I worry about, which is the 4th move counter? It's just complete hallucination. And no, obviously not. I just get T-Wave, then I deal 10% less damage for no reason. Just completely no reason. Now I realize I can slam. I do slam. Then I get a para. That para is kind of unfortunate. Okay, EQ, fine. And now I don't know if I should respect Hyper Beam here, because I don't really have a good play into Hyper Beam anyway. But I mean, I should probably, arguably, just explode on this turn. But then I get worried about reflect and stuff. I think, looking back, since I'm already losing, I think here I should just explode and try to go Tauros and win with Tauros. And if Serpi reflects, then, you know, props to him, but it seems like an unlikely play to make. My Lex is for attacks, by the way. I'm not reflect rest. Obviously, if I had reflect, I would have clicked it. Well, I don't know if I can say that given that how many shit moves I've clicked, but if I have reflect, I should be clicking it, but I don't have reflect. So I should explode here, probably, and just hope that I can chunk this Snorlax and finish it off with Tauros, or at least, you know, take it out of the picture for a bit and just put it in range again at T-bolts and everything. But, well, no, I just don't respect Hyperbin and I get killed. And now I just go for some Tauros Hail Mary, because obviously my Chansey can't really play against this, and my Gengar can't either. I go, you know, maybe I slam crit into slam. Maybe he gets greedy and doesn't explode, but I think he explodes here. No, he doesn't. Okay, so with a slam crit, maybe I was still in this, but it's just an awful game. Okay, yeah, I do get a slam crit and I am still in this, but this Jolteon is nasty. I don't really, well, I can go Chansey, but the problem is, at this point, if I let enemy Chansey back into the game, it's super fucking annoying. So I do go Chansey, but now I have to, like, make a decision. Do I switch back? And I end up not switch backing, because, I don't know, by this point I'm probably just disgusted enough at my own play already that I'm just not properly focusing. And so I go Cloyster, and at this point I decide maybe if this wakes on this Chansey. Okay, this is actually the one good play I make. This is the one thing I'm happy with in this entire game. I predict double kick and I stay in with Cloyster Burning as Lipton, because I think my win condition is eventually waking this Cloyster and then blocking enemy Chansey with it. Or with my own Chansey, obviously. My own Chansey blocks Sing, but my own Cloyster also switches into Ice Beam, switches into T-Wave, perfectly okay. And if I can get an explosion out of this Cloyster, then maybe we can play the rest of this game. So I find a creative slip turn here, because obviously he's going to D-kick trying to catch Chansey. And arguably here I should Gengar. I should probably Gengar and just explode it. Because at this point, you know, enemy Tauros, he just doesn't need enemy Tauros if this Jolteon is unstoppable, which it is if I don't send in my Gengar. So arguably I should Gengar into double kick, but I just brain off Chansey. And now I'm in trouble. Because double kick, yep, with a crit it kills, and even without a crit I could have T-waved it, but probably still lost. So yeah, that's how this one ends. He gets another crit, but you know, at this point it was very, very difficult. Yeah, it's just over. There you go. I don't have a lot to say about this game, honestly. I mean, if you see my week 1, week 2 game, and you see this, it's not the same player playing. I don't have anything else to say. It's crazy to me how much worse I am on an off day, and I just have to make sure I don't have off days for the rest of the tournament, because this is unacceptable. This is huge letdown to my team, huge letdown to myself. I have not worked, you know, almost 5 years now since I started taking RBY seriously. I've not spent 5 years playing this game relatively consistently to show up to SPL and play like this. This is not. I just cannot do this. Yeah. If I lose like this again, I will be very, very upset. If I do it once, I can understand it, you know, but making the same mistake twice will be crushing, and so I really hope I don't do this again. I really hope I avoid this, you know, fucking stupid sleep tiredness thing that made me play like this, because I think if I take like a 4-hour nap on the afternoon before this game, I'm okay. But yeah, I needed to do that, and I should have known to do that, but it's whatever. It's one loss at the end of the day, but it makes me very upset because it's actually my fault. And it's not very often I lose games where I can just clearly say that it's my fault. Like, very often it's like, you know, I played okay and I was playing against a good player and they also got a bit lucky. I have a million excuses, but on this one I don't have an excuse. On this one I just played like garbage, and you know, you learn and you move on, and I'm hoping I don't have anything like this anymore. For myself, for my team, for the spectators, for everybody, play of this level does not deserve to be in SPL. So yeah, apologies, and yeah, move on, hopefully. Now, this is the big one. This is the one you click on this video for. A Troller against Nails. Power ranked 1, power ranked 2. This is game 3 that I'm bringing you. Game 1, it was one of those games where both players play kind of okay, but one of them gets everything, and today that was Nails. And so Nails was up 1-0. And then in game 2 he decided to bring a team without Tauros. It was Gengar, Toxic Jolteon, Toxic Chansey, Moltres, Cloyster, Snorlax, without Tauros. And look, I'm a big fan of Toxic. I think it's really, really cool how Toxic can change the dynamics of some things in this tier. I love it. I love how it enables Cloyster. But the moment you drop Tauros for Moltres, you lose my support completely. I just cannot get behind that. I think Tauros is entirely too strong. And case in point, the Moltres got paralyzed eventually. It risked a paralyze very early, switching in on Tauros Body Slam, and it risked a paralyze again, trying to Fire Spin a Chansey. And the second time around on Fire Spin on Chansey, he gets paralyzed, which by that point is over 50% for Troller to get a paralysis on one of those two instances. So it's not even luck, it's just the expected outcome when you rely on Fire Spin and Clamp. And yeah, it was a very fun game for casual spectators. And if you want to see a very fun game, I recommend you go and pull up that replay. Because obviously, I mean, it's Taurosless to SPL, and it did fine. Like, it was a fairly even game for a lot of it. But ultimately, I'm choosing to bring you Game 3 because I just think it was a lot more interesting. I think that Game 2 team, not actually a team you should bring to high-level games. I don't know what compelled Nails to do it. It was just not not the sort of thing that you should bring to a high level game, in my opinion. Game 3, a lot more interesting, because Nails is actually trying. So let's see. We have Jigs against Starmie. Lovely Kiss misses. Lovely Kiss hits. Tauros on Starmie. Tauros and Snorlax comes in. And now, if you've been paying attention to SPL so far, you might have noticed that Troller does this thing where when Snorlax switches in on Tauros, Troller just stays and body slams. And he just accepts that Snorlax can get some damage back, but very often Tauros crit rate is high enough that this is worth it, and that even if you don't crit, then worst case you trade Tauros for Snorlax, but you have a very playable game. This is something he's been doing a lot. And so Nails hits him with this. Bonk. And still, this is within Troller's territory. Clearly, when he goes for these body slams, he expected this can happen. I mean, self-destruct basically does the same thing, but even more than 78%. So, Troller very clearly fine with this outcome. But a very interesting bit of prep by Nails, because obviously 2 body slams, fairly high chance that one of them will crit, but if he doesn't, then he has a very, very appealing position here. So, very good prep from Nails, I like this a lot. Much unlike his game 2 team, I actually enjoy this. Counter legs, good bring. But now we have a game, and Snorlax dies, and so Nails has to now get his sleep. There's a paralyzed Jinx in the way, but he can get his sleep somewhere. And he has to, make something happen to push this Tauros out of the field, because it's at 22%, but it's still a Tauros. So Tauros comes in, Starmie, Body Slam, another paralysis. So if this is Sing Chansey, Nails has given up on sleep. So let's see what the sleeper is on Nail's side. Chansey comes in. Jinx. It's Seismic Toss Chansey. Is this Seismic Toss Sing or is this Seismic Toss nothing? We don't know. Okay, something interesting here from Troller. He doesn't even bother trying to rescue this Jinx, because he sees Chansey Seismic Toss. I will not get any value out of this Jinx. This Jinx is just garbage. Even if I wake it, I don't expect that this Jinx will do anything. My Starmie can sleep block against Executor. My Starmie can sleep block against if this is Seismic Toss Sing. So this Jinx is useless. I can just waste it. And I think that's actually a good decision, and something that a lot of players might automatically just rest, because it's so easy to just try to recover all your mons as long as they have any hope of being recovered. But I think on average this play is much better, because this Jinx very unlikely to actually do anything against anybody for the rest of this game. Much more likely to just die to Tauros, and at least make it die to Tauros on your terms when you need a sec, as opposed to just, letting it happen. So now we have a lot of turns of nothing, because Nails reveals that this is Seismic Toss Reflect, so your classic Reflect Chansey. And Troller reveals Counter Ice Beam, which, not exactly something that does anything to Reflect Chansey. And now you have a lot of nothing, because this Chansey is trying to Seismic Toss or do something in general, and Troller is saying, cool Chansey you got there, can it actually do anything? And the answer is generally no. The best Nails can hope for here, realistically, is Thunder Wave enemy Chansey, and just threaten it out with PP stall, I guess, but, you're not going to PP stall both Chansey and Starmie. So Nails can either maybe get a couple of FPs on Starmie, and maybe use that for pressure, or more realistically, just get 2 Thunder Waves and move on. And just give up on sleep entirely. But we see this Starmie does not intend to full paralyze anytime soon. Nails tests the waters with his sleeping Starmie and sees that it is Surf T-Bolt. And so he says, okay, I guess this is Surf T-Bolt, I can go Executor. And by now he sees this is a full health Starmie that is not going to leave the field anytime soon. So his plan with this Executor is probably going to be blow up this Starmie. And let's see what happens. Psychics it? T-Wave? And he's like, okay, my Executor does nothing anyway other than blow up Starmie, so let's go for it. And he is probably right in this approach. Troller goes Jinx again. He says, you know, maybe with this free Blizzard I can get some value. Even then, not really, because there is a chance in the way. But he goes Jinx, and then now he does actually try to rest it, which is puzzling to me. Because this just goes against everything he did up to this point. I think the much better play was just never use this Jinx again for anything and just sack it on Tauros. But now he has to sack something on Tauros, or like he has to switch something on Tauros. And now he has to take damage on his legs, which, as we saw earlier on, Snorlax can switch into Tauros okay, but even when it's countered, it's not a guarantee at all. So I don't like this. I think this Jinx was much better spent as a Tauros sack later on, because it does nothing else. Like, even if you wake it, it just does nothing. I guess it can eat an Executor Explosion, but you can always predict an Executor Explosion. Like, you know, it's not... You always have the option of going Jinx on a turn where you predict Bloom, so... Regardless of whether it's at 60% or 100% sleeping, you know, you always have the option, so... I don't like this. I don't like this line. But nevertheless, game continues. But now this Rhydon is revealed. And now we see why Troller was so happy to go for that Tauros on Lax trade. Because many teams, once your own Lax falls, they have no good Lax counterplay. Look at Troller's Snorlax. These two are paralyzed. And like Executor, Rhydon, they can be okay against Snorlax, but not like this, not when they're paralyzed. Reflect Chansey, sure, built to survive Snorlax easily, but not when it's paralyzed. And so now Nails has a very tough situation, because obviously Tauros against Reflect Snorlax, nah, that's not it. He just has to try for EQ crits. But he's paralyzed, like, the odds are not with him. And indeed, this Snorlax just rests and rests. He wakes on Executor. Executor can threaten, but he can't break. This Executor is not going anywhere. There's a Tauros, which, you know, scary, but not that threatening. Troller, I think, goes Chansey to scout Mega Drain there on the Psychic drop, and it accidentally works out for him because Nails goes Tauros, so, you know, good play. He goes... Troller at this point, look at this. He just goes Rhydon, predicting enemy Chansey. He's not scared at all. Like, this is just an insane switch back on enemy Chansey. He's just trying to go in. And by the way, if Reflect Snorlax wasn't hard enough, look at this Rhydon as well. Like, Reflect Chansey gets bullied by this. Paralyzed Executor will drop before too soon. Rhydon, paralyzed, obviously cannot do anything. Like, Troller is in a serious advantage point here. But he still has to work. He still has to work for it. It's not over. But we see that this Sagi on Starmie, you know, Starmie is walled, but so is Executor. Really, it's just mutual walling. Now we see this Chansey again doing some more attempts at doing something, but this is why Chansey fell out of favor. The best you can realistically hope for from Reflect Chansey is 2 Thunder Waves on Chansey and Starmie. Nothing else, because you just don't have the pressure. You need to sleep something first if you want, but you have to do that first and not last, because as you saw, the Starmie got paralyzed first and sleep was off the table forever, and now this Chansey is just very low value, because all it does is trade Thunder Waves, realistically, because Starmie was already paralyzed by Tauros, so, you know, a lot of PPs clicked, 21 Seismic Toss down, half of the Reflects. But what has this Chansey done in practice? It's traded a T-Wave with enemy Chansey, essentially. This is why Reflect Chansey is not so popular, and also, you know, the whole sucking against Raiden thing, which we will get into. We will have time for that. So now, yeah, the Troller can just sit on this Chansey, but he even gets a switchback on the Sleeping Starmie, which is just, you know, cherry on top. And now this Raiden is getting bullied. If this Raiden has rest, this might still be a game, because Troller's legs clearly cannot break Rest Raiden. But even then, Rest Raiden opens up to Troller's Tauros or Raiden. Both of them are fine. And both of them are very scary. So even that wouldn't save Nails. But as it turns out, this Raiden is not resting anytime soon. All it has is trying to crit. And Troller allows Lex to get low enough that his rest is forced, and so Nails can get another pressure turn with the Executor. Perhaps I would have rested earlier on. That way, you know, you can just wake relatively safely, instead of having to switch out at 0 turns burnt, which just sucks. It kinda sucks. Like, now enemy Tauros is dangerous again. Now enemy Tauros has a chance. Because, you know, your Chansey, it has counter, but that's not reliable. Your Tauros, low HP, your Raiden dies to Blizzard, your Snorlax, sleeping. So, despite the advantageous position that Troller has, this rest, this situation here, it actually gets him in a spot of bother. This Starmie is the one thing holding Troller's team together. But Nails, he's good at Pokemon, and so he explodes on it. He gets it. He just gets the boom. I think this was a mistake by Troller. He should have been safe and gone Chansey on Executor. Acknowledging that if he doesn't go Chansey, now this Tauros is dangerous. Starmie is obviously safer against Tauros than Chansey. Even when paralyzed, because you can Thunderwave and then you outspeed after Thunderwave. But Chansey, after you Thunderwave, you don't outspeed at all. So, both of them can get T-Wave on Tauros, but Starmie is better at it. And, well, let's see. Chansey, Tauros. Can this Chansey get Thunderwave? It FPs. Ouch. Can this Chansey get Thunderwave? There is a mind game here, obviously. Hyper Beam or EQ from Nails versus Thunderwave or Raiden from Troller. Troller is going to fucking cry, but he gets the mind game. He calls EQ, he T-Waves again. And now Tauros is a lot more manageable all of a sudden, because he can sack something and then go to his Snorlax or even to his own Tauros and just bring this into Raiden range slowly. But more than likely, he just sacks this and then goes Lax. No, he actually chooses for the Tauros line, which, you know, is it fair? It's okay. Like, arguably this Lax has an easier time waking on Chansey than on Tauros, but I don't know if you can force Chansey on the field. So I think realistically, I mean, is it easier to wake on Raiden than on Tauros? Tauros can crit you, but Raiden has higher base damage. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's debatable. I think in the moment when I watched the live, I thought this line was correct, trying to wake on Raiden because of the lesser crit chance. But watching it back now, I think probably Snorlax earlier was correct. It's difficult. The one thing I will say is that waking this on Raiden, unless you get crit, which is very, very unlikely because it's a Raiden, you probably get this. Meanwhile, against Tauros, you have some chances to get, you know, crit twice. It's a lot higher likelihood that Tauros... I mean, is it? I don't know. It feels like Tauros is more prone to locking this Lax than Raiden, but I've not done the actual math. I don't know if it is. But the point is, Troller needs to wake this Lax, and then he wins. And he gets an FP, and so he wakes the Lax. I don't know if it was higher odds to wake it on Lax, on Raiden or on Tauros, but it doesn't end up mattering really. Chansey comes in. Doesn't really matter what they do. Can counter, I mean, I probably would have Ice Beam just to get some chip down, but counter is fine too, because now Lex comes in, and now Lex gets damage down on Tauros. And after another Body Slam, this is already right on range. This is a very low roll for Body Slam, but on average, after 2 Body Slams, this Tauros will be in right on range. And in fact, it is. And, well, the FP doesn't really matter. Okay, sure, it dies. Sure, okay. We have Rhydon against Paralyzed Reflect Chansey. If you were not around in 2018, you might not realize how bad this is, because Reflect Chansey is kind of a niche set. Maybe you've not seen these interactions so much. This is very, 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 very bad for Reflect Chansey. The only hope is, yeah, Starmie Wake. Starmie doesn't wake, and Chansey, well, it gets crit, but believe me, even if it had gotten a turn to set up Reflect and then try to Salt Boiled, this was not going to be good. 11 Seismic Tosses, they can kill a Rhydon, but more often than not, with full para odds and with EQ damage, even after Reflect, Rhydon just murders. It just murders. He has so many turns to click EQ and try to FP or to get crits, and it's completely Rhydon favored. And well, first turn crit is obviously you don't even have to play that scenario, but even if it didn't, Troller was winning that. So yeah, Troller comes out 2-1. This game 3, I loved it. Most people, I acknowledge, they will have more fun watching game 2, because it was a quick, things clicked toxic and none of the teams didn't have Tauros. So obviously, in terms of wild value, that one much more fun to watch. But I thought, this is a great chance to bring a very high level game to high level spectators, I'm hoping. I respect you, and I hope that you can enjoy this higher intellectual RBY content as well. And more than anything, I wanted to bring something that actually cleansed your palate after having to watch me play that garbage set against Serpi. So there you go. This is your palate cleanser. This is your fucking high quality best game of the week RBY. If I had to pick one game from this week, this is the highest level RBY that has been played in week 3. So I just had to bring it. I'm sorry to the Taurosless enjoyers, but you can watch Moltres for yourself. I wanted to bring the quality analysis to the quality game. So Troller 3-0, Nails 1-2. That's the end of this. Now, third game of the week, Mako against Friend of Mr. Golem. I think both of these players have been underwhelming so far. Mako is coming from a week where she played the worst RBY of her life by her own admission. She still won, but that was due to, luck. But, it wasn't great. Friend of Mr. Golem also coming from a loss against Chuva. And in general, even in his week 1 win, really not been convinced by him. So, let's see if they can step it up. What game am I showing? I don't remember what game this is. Is it game 1? Have I chosen to bring a game 1? I just opened the replay that I chose to bring, but I was actually very undecided. So I don't remember which one it was. Let's see. Tauros on Lax. Chansey on Lax. Scouts counter. Ice War. Okay. I think this is game 1. Yeah, this is game 1. Okay. I remember now. Yeah, we have this early game. It's fairly standard Jinx early game, I would say. You go Tauros on the Sleeping Mon. Snorlax comes in, then Chansey, then Ice War. And we see that both players engage in this Ice War. And we see that, well, Mako has a Jinx to get better odds, but no luck. No luck. And in fact, the worst case of no luck, let me show this properly. She gets frozen. Now, this is despite Fong hitting a few Ice Beams on Jinx and getting a few Blizzards on his own Chansey, so The odds were definitely with Mako, but alas, no freeze. And now, uphill battle, especially because Jinx decides to do this, she gets crit. And now, you know, Mako, Chansey is frozen, Jinx is dead, and a third Pokemon is asleep. Mako is essentially playing with, is going to be asleep soon. Mako is essentially playing with 3 Pokemon against Fong with 5. So how is this a game? Why have I brought this? Well, Snorlax sets Reflect. Snorlax, FPs once, and sets Amnesia. Mako is playing the historic Nails team with Ice T-Bolt counter Chansey, I would guess. We don't see T-Bolt counter, but I would guess it's that exact paste. And Ice Beam, Reflect, Amnesia, Rest, Snorlax. Now, I brought this Snorlax set before against Mako, but it was with Starmie and Zapdos. And I did that because I think nowadays, when this build was conceived, the Jinx Snorlax Jolteon with Starmie. Starmie and Jolteon are the last two here. When this build was made, it was a time when sleeping things early on was not common. People were just trading T-Waves turn 1. And so this Snorlax was very stoppable by sleeps if you just ran it in a normal Thunderwave trading team. And so the idea with Jinx was to rest Jinx so that it could take sleep, and then this Snorlax was free. But nowadays, Jinx is actually bad at taking sleep, because very often Jinx get paralyzed, and sometimes it can die like this. And so, compared to just leading a Psychic lead, where the opponent will just not paralyze it and try to sleep it straight up, I think Jinx is actually worse. And so I think this Snorlax set should go away from Jinx sets and towards normal, Psychic lead type of teams. Or, weird Chansey lead, but you still go for a sleep sack later on type of stuff, which is what I brought against Mako, in fact, last week. So I think in my meta read, this team is actually quite bad. But it's still obviously very threatening, because this Lax is now paralyzed, and there's an Executor on Fong's team. Little spoiler, but can probably tell by no Jinx and no Sync Chansey there's an Executor. And Executor has to sleep powder this, but okay, so Mako goes Jinx on sleep powder, and then goes Starmie on Psychic. And so Executor has to either get a read or risk T-Wave and stuff to try and sleep something. And here, if I were friend of Mr. Golem, I think I would just take sleep on this Starmie and kill this Snorlax with something else. If you have anything else. I'm not sure if he does, is the problem. This Lax is very scary once you sleep Starmie. And I guess that's the idea with Jinx. Jinx is more reliable at sleeping Psychics, which stop this Lax compared to other sleepers. But I would say generally this kind of Starmies or Zams in the lead, they always get sacked even if you run some other sleeper. So that's my take on this Lax set and on how to team build with it in the current meta. But get back to the game and away from theoretical things. This is very unlucky for friend of Mr. Golem, missing this leap, because I think if you get this leap, you have enough pressure that this Lax doesn't even get time to set up. You have a Tauros, you can threaten crit, Amnesia plus Ice Beam takes a long time to actually deal damage. You have Explosion, you can always use that to prevent this from setting up too quickly. And I just think if you land sleep on Starmie, you win against this last 3, very likely. Especially because this is a full HP Executor, and the last is Jolteon. This is a very known Nails team. So I would imagine if you land this sleep, it's very downhill. So unfortunate for friend of Mr. Golem, but now he has to he tries to do this through T-Wave, and he FPs, which is unlucky again. But now he actually respects Blizzard. Presumably he wants to keep this Executor for Jolteon, which is fair. But now this Lax is actually threatening, because you get a free turn to Amnesia, and now you're dealing serious damage. And that's what Mako does. Goes to Lax on Chansey. And Fung doesn't even try to sleep this. He just T-waves it. And now he has to deal with this Demon Lax. And I'm sorry to say, but what the fuck are you doing staying in with Chansey? T-Bolt Chip is not going to solve the Demon Lax problem in front of you. You are going to let this Lax get +6, and eventually you will FP on a recover turn, and you will die. But Mako goes for rest, and gets crit at a very unfortunate timing, and so this Lax is actually stopped for a minute. This Lax can wake, but now I think Mako is happy to take her chances, because Sleep Powder through Paralysis is like 56%, so it's close to 50-50. It's favored, but it's worse than Hypnosis, essentially. It's basically a Sengi at this point, and so Mako can Amnesia again, but finally Fung gets his leap. The problem with this is that this is still... It has twice the defense and 4 times the special, so this is still hard to kill even after landing Sleep Powder. And staying in and Psychicking, I think here I would Tauros. I would Tauros because you give yourself the best chances to actually kill this. And Mako has no play other than desperately try to wake, and when she gets crit, it's going to be over. It's going to be really over, because if this Snorlax gets crit and dies, you can sleep again on something else. So if this Lax gets crit, it's just entirely over. And so I think Fung really has to Tauros. You also don't have FP chances. But Fung doesn't Tauros. He tries to kill this with Lax. Kills this Lax with Eggy. And so when Lax wakes, and you give Lax a turn to Amnesia, which is mind-boggling. Why would you Psychic here? I don't know. Mako should also Amnesia here to become faster than Executor, I imagine. Yeah, Amnesia to become faster than Eggy. I don't think I'm forgetting anything from previously. I think if you Amnesia here, you're faster than Executor, so you should definitely Amnesia here. But, you know... Actually, let me open Calc real quick. I want to see if this Ice Beam at +5 kills. Because that would be spooky if it did. Snorlax, Executor, +5. No, Blizzard would 1-hit at +5, but Ice Beam doesn't. Deals 80 to 93. Still, very worthwhile given that you have an Executor in the back. Or, sorry, a Jolteon in the back. To try and Amnesia and land maximum chip on this. But it doesn't happen. And now we see Chansey. I assume the prediction was Boom. I don't know why the prediction would be Boom. I mean, maybe it was Sleep Powder. This is a very confusing Chansey. I guess maybe Mako is just saying, okay, I've got this Executor in Tauros range, I just second go Tauros. But I don't love this. I think, well, first of all, Amnesia was very solid, and secondly, by the time you're committing to this Lax, like this Lax at 30%, I know it's very strong, but it's super unlikely to actually get back in the game. I have to imagine that the best play is just, you know, if he wants to boom, then he can boom. At least I have a free Jolteon for the endgame. I have to imagine that's the best play. But that's not what happens. And we see Starmie even get in on Executor. And now with the Blizzard threat, Mako switches back Lax to try and catch Chansey. She finds Chansey. I will say one thing. Friend of Mr. Golem is making the obvious moves all along. Friend of Mr. Golem has been, you know, taking Psychic against 9% Jinx, clicking Sleep against Snorlax. He's not trying reads. And this kind of approach is fair when you are crushing, because, which to be fair, he is crushing. Like, there's still no Jinx and no Chansey. But at some point you have to start making plays, because if you don't, Mako just gets everything. And here rest I think is an error. Here I think the best play technically is reflect, because you just stop enemy Lex, enemy Tauros from pressuring you, and then you can rest with ease. But once you rest without any defense boost, now you're in trouble, because you actually have to try to wake on Tauros, and I mean this is very dire, like a crit ruins you. Yeah, you have to sack something. Now you go Tauros, you try to play a Tauros War. Blizzard? Oh. Weird Blizzard. Like, why would you give yourself missiles? I don't like this. Especially since you've been playing, you know, with this very safe, I'm crushing a deck and just do safe plays and win type of style. Just do the safe play and body slam. Like, why risk Blizzard? I don't know, weird. But yeah, Ball War is the Hyper Beam turn, and Mako stays and body slams, which is a crazy read. And again, props to Mako, but also friend of Mr. Golem, I think, has been making himself very readable by always going for the lowest risk type of play, which is theoretically Zapdos, but once you get body slam crit, it's not Zapdos, because you just lost a whole Zapdos. And I mean, okay, there is a Jolteon in the back, so this Zapdos was never being too useful, but I mean, that's just a full Pokemon. That's all the risk that you took earlier in that Chansey Freeze where you've given it all back here. So, friend of Mr. Golem needs to make himself less predictable here, but he doesn't do it, and he loses Zapdos for it. And now, well, he's still doing well, don't get me wrong. He's still doing, you know, Snorlax, Chansey, Tauros, Exeggutor, 4 Pokemon against essentially 4 Pokemon. But if you remember, this was a 5v3 earlier on if he had just landed Sleep. And he basically hasn't. And, you know, to his credit, I don't want to be too harsh against Mr. Golem, because he missed a few Sleep Powders earlier, and if he had just landed them on Starmie, this game was over. But it's a game again, which is stunning. And then Mako here goes Starmie on Lex. I probably would have just sacked Jinx, because this is just an extremely unpleasant body slam to switch into. Now if this had Hyper Beam, I mean, okay, it revealed Ice Beam, so you can actually do this. Okay, fine, no, never mind. Yeah, this is Ice Beam Snorlax, so you can do this play, and I don't actually hate it, but obviously there is some danger, but it's probably still the best play to risk it. And now, you know, heal back up. Chances are you probably get this, but chances are not with Mako in this specific occasion. And Starmie dies, and so now you have trouble. But you also have Jolteon. And look at Jolteon now. Chansey, double kick, massacres. T-Bolt, Snorlax, 1 crit and it's down. T-Bolt, Exeggutor, it's very low HP, it doesn't deal a ton, T-Bolt to Exeggutor, but at 42% you will break it eventually, within 1 or 2 switch-ins at most. And Tauros, it's outspeeded, killed. So, friend of Mr. Golem, no real options here, has to try and find a paralysis on Jolteon. And he goes for it with Lex, which is fair, it's a good play, but he gets crit and he doesn't para. And so, Jolteon moment. It's looking like a Mako win. Out of nowhere, Mako is in a commanding position. Look at Tauros. She threatens Hyper Beam kill on Exeggutor, and she threatens, you know, even if she gets red and Chansey comes in, there's crit chance and there's paralysis chance. So her Tauros is dominating here, very, very likely. Cherry on top, Exeggutor FP is on Jinx switching in. And now she goes Lex on Starmie, which is on Starmie or Chansey, you know. Thumb goes going on Blizzard, either Starmie or Chansey. So Lex is fine against both. Great play to get a Sleep turn off. And yeah, Mako can pretty safely do this because Lax always wakes up in one turn. Starmie doesn't always wake up in one turn. Very likely that she can use this sleeping Starmie to pressure with Jolteon now, which she does. And now, you know, it's trouble. Double kick, even. Predicting Chansey's Witch Hand, which is great. And Jinx comes in again, which is just filthy at this point, how many reads Mako is getting. Rest up. Rest up is dangerous because this Tauros is not looking, you know, Fum Tauros is still the one way he has to win. So rest Jinx, I mean, you kind of have to do it, but now you open yourself to things. And she goes Snorlax immediately, which I like, because if you actually try to wake this Jinx, you can get in big trouble. So now Lax sets up, and I think, no, this is correct to not go for game with this Lax, I think, because you take quite a while to actually kill this Starmie with Amnesia. You don't take quite a while to kill everything on Friend of Mr. Golem's team with this Jolteon, if you get just the right double kicks. And this is not the right double kick, but it is some chip, brings you closer to the goal. I think T-Bolt with a crit into T-Bolt kills now. But I don't know, this feels like it's been misplayed a bit by Mako. I think Tauros first and then Jolteon is correct. Because Tauros first, in the worst case, at least takes out Chansey first, and now you don't have to double kick. You can just T-Bolt away on everything. So I think Tauros first was correct, and I think Tauros on Starmie, probably. Instead of trying to wake Lax, you just Tauros first on Starmie and play from there. But nevertheless, we have this, and we have... Okay, so this Sleep Powder is a bit insane, but it works. Actually, one good read from Pong, who has been getting rather outplayed so far, but this is a great Sleep Powder. And now, what does Executor do? Psychic. He is not exploding, he is not exploding. Did he explode there? We don't know. I find it weird that it doesn't explode here. Because this Jinx, I don't want to say she's trouble, because there's a Tauros. But you can explode here. I mean, you can even go Tauros here. I don't know what this Chansey play is, because what are you trying to land? Are you trying to predict Jolteon's Witch in? Like, why don't you Psychic then? I don't know, with one Sleep Zone to burn, going Chansey just seems entirely too passive and in such an unneeded way. Because your win condition is essentially Tauros pressure. I don't know. Weird plays from friend of Mr. Golem, and now this Jinx is actually an issue because she will get Psychic drops. And you can't really switch into Blizzard at all. So we see Starmie come in. Starmie wakes but gets put right back to sleep. Actually a clever Lovely Case edging that wake at this point was likely. And now Mako's Tauros is actually going in. Finally we see it. I guess perhaps Mako wasn't going Tauros because Starmie's wake chances after burning like 2 or 3 turns were already quite decent. So I can respect it in that sense. Jolteon is just safer, but I think it was just correct to go Tauros first and not risk anything. Because you saw the turn where Jolteon took up Psychic. If that was Boom or Sleep even, troublesome endgame. But still, she gets out quite well. And now, look at Mako's Jolteon. I mean, it just kills Starmie, it kills Tauros, and it kills Chansey. This Hyper Beam is fair. It's actually very fair to go for this, I think. Yeah, I think that's a completely reasonable play. Starmie gets sacked. Arguably, Funk should have just gone Chansey and tried to play for that. Because now that you sack Starmie, Mako's Jinx can just go for Psychic drops and then Blitz at you. And it's very hard to handle, but you can still force rest on this Jinx here, so it's not completely over. But it's definitely dangerous. And if the drops come early, this Chansey is in trouble. And the drops do come early. And eventually Jinx does manage to 1v1 the Chansey because there is just no switch available to clear the drops. I think at this point I would have just sacked Tauros, even on a Blizzard, and then just banked on that Chansey miracle, but it's really tough. Because, I mean, clearly clearly by this point, Chance is not, like, if Chance dies, you just lose, you know? T-Bolt is automatic win. I guess it might be a roll. Is it a roll? I think Jolt and T-Bolt always does 40 to Tauros. Is my memory garbage? Okay, so there is actually a main roll where this Tauros lives. Jolt and T-Bolt is a 38.8 minimum. But it's very, very likely to kill. When you factor in the crit chance as well, it's just very likely to kill, and in fact it does. Whew, that was a long one. That was 170. I'm showing a lot of long games today. Mako, with a miracle to win this one after that start. Fong, with a very passive style. I think he should have gone for more reads in the mid game, but you know, it's understandable when you get a big lead to play safe. But I just think, you know, it shows a bit of... It doesn't have the bite that someone like Troller has. And that's, I think, a big issue with Friend of Mr. Golem at the moment. He's not playing, you know, with that convincing aggression that you have in the very, very top players. He's just playing a bit safe, and it lets people claw back in, as you saw here. Obviously, Mako had to get lucky along the way, but she clawed back in. And, well, the newsflash is, unfortunately for Mako, the shit early starts did not stop at game 1. She got completely bodied early on game 2 and game 3 as well. And I think that is one of Mako's bigger weaknesses, actually. She goes for a lot of risky business in the early turns, and sometimes it works out, but when it doesn't, she puts herself in very bad positions, and I think she can improve a lot on that, just by prepping safer openings. But yeah, she clawed out of 1 in game 1. She did not claw out of game 2 or game 3. So Friend of Mr. Golem 2-1. Despite looking, I think, in my opinion, incredibly shaky, very, very shaky performances from Fong, in my opinion. But, you know, what do I know? I play him next week, so I'll see if I can put my money where my mouth is. Yeah, Fong win, despite Mako with a very impressive comeback game 1. Fourth series of the week, Aliss against Hayburner. Hayburner comes from a win against Nails and a week 1 loss against Troller, so tough opponents and strong games from him. And Aliss comes from a win against Fong, or a loss against Fong, but it was close, and a win against Exiline, so she's doing quite well as well. At least compared to pre-season expectation, I think a lot of people didn't rate Aliss too highly, but she's looking quite okay actually. So I think fairly positive things from both players. So let's see who takes this one. Gengar against Jinx, obviously. You know what happens. I swear to God, I hate Jinx so much. Like this is 30%. Like this should not. It's not. I hate Jinx. I just hate Jinx. Sorry. I don't think I exactly got an insightful point across there. I just, my hatred for this Pokemon is too big. But okay, Hayburner gets side dropped on the switch and now heads to its Sing against a Jinx that is doing a lot of damage each turn. So big danger, immense danger. Finally the Sing hits. Whew, okay. Okay, we got unlucky, but Hayburner at last has gotten his Sing off and is now playing a 4v4. Or a 5v5, sorry. He could be playing a 6v5 if he had just hit Hypnosis, but unlucky. Now we have an Ice War. Oh, one of the chances is at -1, so it will be forced to soft boil slightly more often. But well, okay, sorry. Forgot. This happens. So, not even that. But we do see Lax come in, and Lax doesn't have to fear Ice Beam Freeze anymore. It just reflects and rests. And this is Ice Counter, so the only thing this can really do is Thunder Wave it. That's it. but it seems that there is no Thunder Wave actually, and it seems that Hayburner is actually insane at the video game, because he predicts this Witch out to start me and he body slams it, which is phenomenal. And now he explodes on Starmie. So this is peculiar, because usually when you are a full Pokemon down you don't want to explode. And also, why would he save the explosion for Starmie when he could have exploded Chansey all along? Those are two questions that will soon make sense. This is Zapdos, and if you've followed the game in the last year or so, you will know that the 6th is either Articuno or Starmie. And if you see how much effort he put into exploding Starmie specifically, you can guess that this is in fact Articuno already. And well, you don't need to guess for too much longer because you see it in turn 20. Articuno comes in. Now. What is this game going to be like? If the last is Alakazam, Zapdos is scary. And Articuno, well, is particularly scary if the last is Rhydon, but there's still always going to be a chance in the way. So Hayburner, he has gotten his Gengar slapped, he has gotten his Chansey frozen, not the luckiest game, but if this Chansey falls, and it very well could fall, Articuno is looking mad dangerous, and this is the strength of these Zapkuno teams. Your Tauros and your Lax, which are usually very powerful in endgames, they're not powerful at all into this matchup. And so, what happens now? Well, Hayburner goes Chansey and just sacks it. And he says, okay, I didn't get a freeze this time, let me try again. Because this is his one win path, is breaking this Chansey somehow. And I don't exactly disagree with him when he goes for this and guesses that Blizzard is the highest odds. And this is also because if you go Rhydon and this is if you go Zapdos and the 6th is Rhydon, which is very possible with the structure, you just lose. You give Rhydon a free turn when the game state is looking like this, it's over. It's just completely over. Rhydon just subs, and when it kills Articuno and deals free damage on Tauros, yes, you just lose. So I like not going Zapdos from A. And I like fishing for freeze, because it is realistically his only out after that disgusting early game. And wouldn't you know it, he gets it. Now, agility on the frozen Chansey, this is fair. Blizzard on Alakazam crits, which is great, but T-Wave comes off. And now he has to agility again, he does agility again. Can this Kuno also break this dam? Blizzard misses, which is unfortunate. By this point I would consider double edging, because Blizzard PP, if you get through Zam, you will very much need them against Lax or Tauros, but maybe this is one of those Kunos that drops Blizzard for Ice Beam, or double edge for Ice Beam. In that case, fair enough. He continues blitzing. He gets Psychic Crit, which is unfortunate. FP is on recover, which is also unfortunate. And now, very, very cleverly he goes for Hyper Beam, because, I mean, if you crit, this can kill. I don't believe it always kills, but it's definitely a range, as you can see. And if you don't crit, Aliss is most likely Psychicking here. So, an insane play from Aliss would have been to Lax on this. I think I would have liked to see that, actually, because... well, spoiler alert, Aliss's Snorlax is actually completely walled by Gengar. So by switching on Hyper Beam from Articuno, you actually get some value out of your Snorlax, which is extremely hard to get otherwise. But doesn't happen. This jam takes damage, and now it's Revenge killable. And indeed, Tauros comes in. And Tragedy strikes. Tauros Body Slams roll 47, which is pretty much low roll. Main roll is 46.3. High roll is almost 55. So, very unlucky from Hayburner to not kill. And now he has to take more damage with Tauros, which is, you just don't want to see that. But that's what happens. And now we see Gengar on Lax. and this is Aliss Hayburner's hope, that this is just somehow completely walled. And judging by the switch out, it looks that it is. So Hayburner can still win this if this Gengar can somehow just... If this Tauros is out of the way, Hayburner's Gengar looks fantastic. So can Aliss win with this Tauros? Well, at this moment it doesn't look good, but then the Body Slam gets a paralysis. And now things are even more interesting, because this Tauros can live an Hyper Beam. 53. The roll is 47 to 55.5. So both Tauros are rolled to die to Hyper Beam, but Aliss's Tauros is slightly more likely to die. And so Hayburner goes for it, tanks it, and fires back. And it kills. And now we have Hayburner, by some miracle, pulling back from a tragic early game. He can win this. He can actually win this. And, well, let's see what he does. He goes Gengar on Lax, but Aliss doubles Jinx. And so Hayburner goes back to Tauros, and Jinx burns one Sleep Turn. Tauros slams, okay. But now this Lax is trouble. You have to go Gengar again. And Aliss doubles again, and Jinx burns another Sleep Turn. Zapdos, unlike Tauros, does not threaten crit KO. So Jinx can stay, burn another Sleep Turn, maybe these FPs. It doesn't, it crits. Ouch. Aliss has to switch out. Lax again, even if this takes damage, it doesn't really matter, because it still KOs Tauros and Zapdos. Well, spoiler alert, this has Hyper Beam, so it KOs Zapdos. But it's still walled by Gengar, so damage on this Lax is not too important. And now Gengar burns one Sleep Turn. Finally Aliss doesn't get a double on it. And now Aliss gets Jinx in, and this time she wakes. And with this wake, Aliss actually wins. This 19% Jinx with 2 Blizzards left, 1 Blizzard left, wakes up to win the game. But did this have to happen? Let's go back to turn 41, when Tauros kills Tauros. I believe Hayburner had a better line here. I believe instead of letting Jinx double a million times and burn Sleep Turns, I believe he had much better odds if he just sacked Tauros here and went to his own Gengar. Because Gengar on Lax can burn a Sleep Turn for free, and then you are 1 Sleep Turn up, and if you wake first, you win. You just win. If you wake first, you win. If whenever Jinx wakes, you can Hypnosis again. You just kill it. Obviously Hypnosis can miss again, but odds are on your side that if this Gengar wakes first, you win. You just win straight up. And so what I would do is just sack this Tauros here. And if Aliss does anything other than Body Slam, you're happy, obviously. You either take out Chansey for free, or you get, serious damage on Jinx, which is also fantastic. But if Aliss doesn't switch, if Aliss kills you, then this Gengar gets a free Sleep Turn to burn, and you're just advantaged. It's not won, but it's advantaged, which is a huge result after that fucking early game. It's just clearly over 50% for you to win that scenario in the end game. By doing this sort of doubles and all this sort of fancy stuff, this Gengar is never waking. So you force yourself into a very tricky situation where you're basically banking on a long sleep with this Jinx that allows you to slam enough times with Tauros. But if the sleep is not long, then you just lose. And that's what happens. Hayburner just loses. But look at this turn. Again, I wish I could just, import this situation and play out this endgame for you, but you will have to imagine and follow me. Body Slam on Tauros, Gengar comes in, burn a Sleep Turn, as Jinx switches in, and then it's just a race to who wakes first, and if Gengar wins it, it's over. So I think that's what I would have done. I think that gave him better odds in the end game. But yeah, he didn't pull it off, which is unfortunate, because I always love to see this team win. I love Guards Up Kuno, it's one of my proudest builds. I don't know, I'm sure someone assembled this 6 already some 15 years ago by pure chance, but I think this wave of Guards Up Kuno, I have to imagine that I started it because I rebuilt it individually, independently. Around 2019, SPL4 it was, that I built this and really started spamming this a lot, and it slowly got spread like wildfire. So it did not slowly spread like wildfire, that can't happen, it's either slow or like wildfire. Sorry, I've been talking for quite some time now. I'm recording all of this in a row. But yeah, the point I'm making is I build this and I'm happy when it does well, because I think it's a very fun team and I'm very proud of it. And if you're one of those people who goes, well, actually somebody else did this before, then, you know, okay, fine. I don't have an objection to that. You're fine to say that, you're technically correct. Fuck off. What I am saying in practice is that I think Hayburner, it's a shame that he didn't win this game after bringing it so close to a winning endgame. If he had just played this slightly better, I think he had the odds to win. But you know, when you're a Gengar misses Hypnosis turn 1 and then your chances loses the Freeze War, it's always ugly. So unlucky for him. And then game 2 he had Zapdos into Rhydon. It was just like Psychic Lead Executor on both teams, and then one team had Zapdos and one team had Rhydon, if I recall correctly. Or something like that. It was, I don't remember if it was both, it was 2 Psychics plus Zapdos or something else, but Zapdos was definitely there and Hayburner basically had no chance. So there, Aliss wins 2-0, but very unfortunate for Hayburner, I would say, with the luck on the early game here and the matchup in the game too, so tough. Last game of the week, Chuva against Exiline. I will not be commentating on these games in protest, because Exiline brought Persian and then Dragonite. And when it was just Persian, into Chuva, who is known to use a lot of Cloyster, I could say, yeah, maybe this is prep. Maybe strong physical breaker with Thunderbolt, I can see why you'd think it would be good in the matchup. Maybe this is okay. I actually liked it. But then when he brought Dragonite with this garbage team, it's not even a good Dragonite team, it's just random Dragonite in the 6th slot. I figured out that actually it's because Exiline is not trying. Exiline just did not want to play RBY, and if he doesn't want to play RBY, then I will not cover his games. He got crushed 2-0, you can see the end screens. He got destroyed, and I mean, again, I've been sympathetic to his situation, being an emergency substitute, but if you don't respect RBY, I don't respect your games, and I will not waste my time commentating on them. Chuva is 2-1, and Exiline has been subbed out. See you next week.